Hi guys, sorry we are a little late. Uh, we were just trying to log in. Um so yeah, quite a few of you are here. So I think we can start. So I'm Shweta from the Idyllic Canvas. Today we'll be painting this little piece right here. So the photo that you must have seen on MENORAH Stationery, that painting is not with me right now, but I recreated it. So I'll keep it here for your reference. And because I'll be painting, you guys can paint along. I may not be able to see all your questions while I'm painting, but I'll definitely get back to them after we're done with it. And so I'll just take you through. Can you guys hear me properly? Can someone just put in the comments if you can hear me properly? Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. So yeah, let's start then. I'll take you through the supplies that we're going to use. Because the painting was originally cut in this shape, so I've just cut the paper uh, in this way. But you can, just use a rectangle or a square sheet also. My all-time favorite brand, as you would know, is MENORAH watercolor papers. They're 100% cotton, and I love the texture. It really goes well with the kind of scenes that I create. So the benefit of using 100% cotton watercolor paper is that the colors that you use, they come out more bright, and it holds on the water for more time. So it's always good to go for the 100% cotton, but it's fine if even if you have like a 25% cotton paper. And so yeah, this is the paper we're going to use. I've cut it in the same shape here. If you want, you can even draw this shape, or even rectangle is fine. We're also going to use any round brush that you have. I'm using it in the size 6 right now. It should just have a pointy tip to help with the trees here. I am also using these two colors. One is Winsor Newton Cotman turquoise, and the other one is Van Gogh indigo color. But you can use any watercolor tube or whatever you have. Basically, you have to have like two um, different shades. One a little lighter, and the other one should be a little darker. Yeah, so instead of turquoise, you can use just 1 second, guys. Yeah, sorry. So instead of turquoise, you can use the cobalt blue, and instead of indigo, you can use the Prussian blue. So these are the two colors. I have them out here. I mostly, put my colors in a box. So these are the two colors that I'm going to use, and some water, and that's it. It's going to be a very nice, relaxing session, except for when I'm, using the blow dryer to dry out the layers. That's all. And also, how we'll go about this session is because there are layers, we'll be waiting for them to dry. While we're waiting, I'll take you through the different techniques that we'll be using, like how I draw my pine trees and some other things. So let's start. Sorry, I'm getting some requests for you to join the live video. Would you like to paint along? Okay, guys, I'm just going to go ahead and start with the painting here. I'll take up your questions once we're done with this. So, I'm mostly going to use the wet on wet technique here. First, I'm going to go with the sky. I'm just going to put a little bit of water on the top. And I'm going to take my lightest color, if you're using cobalt blue or turquoise blue in that case, and just we have to keep the sky very light because it's like a very, it'll give like a very moody vibe to it. I sometimes, when I put a little bit of more water, I just dab it with a paper towel here, and it also, you know, dries it a little more quickly. Now we're going to go in with our first layer of the mountain right here. So this is, as I told you, this is going to be a wet on wet technique. Wet on wet would be that you are using a wet sheet of paper and then putting in the colors. So I just take some water and draw the shape of the first layer of the mountain here. I use my lightest color. I'm using turquoise in this case. And holding the brush in this way and not like this, I'll hold the brush in this way and just put on my color for the mountain. Just roughly draw the line. Guys, if you're having any issue hearing me or anything, you can just put, I'm just standing and looking at the comments also. Yeah. So you'll just take it a little more down. And after that, after I've put in my color, what I'll do is I will just dip my brush in the water and just glide it through the, at the bottom of the mountain here. You don't have to take it all the way through because there's another layer of mountain that will be coming here. So I'm just going to dab a little paper towel right here Now we're going to wait for this layer to dry. You can see that the color is a little bit, escaping the borderline that we created here. So we're just going to pull the mountain up a little. That's the beauty of painting, right? Painting with watercolors. So okay, now while we wait for this layer to dry, I will just take you through this technique again, the wet on wet mountain that I told you. So what I do is I draw the shape of the mountain with just water, not a lot of water, little bit. Take my color, hold the brush like this, and then just dry my brush, take off the water that is there, and just glide the brush. So this creates a little bit of misty scene that we're trying to create here. The trick with this kind of layering in watercolor is that you have to be patient, and you have to really make sure that the first layer is dried, only then you go in with your second layer. Otherwise, because see here I didn't wait, so this kind of the paint kind of escaped the lines here. It merges in with the other layers because this layer wasn't dry at that time. So in order to make sure that this is dried, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put myself on mute and use this blow dryer to dry this one. And I'm back. I muted myself because that's not a very pleasant sound. You guys can hear me now? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead with the second layer here, this part of the mountain, and we're going to go a little darker. Like this was the turquoise blue. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mix my indigo with the turquoise that I have, more of turquoise and less of indigo. So if you're using cobalt blue and Prussian blue, more of cobalt blue and less of Prussian blue. Let's start with the next layer. We're going to start from here so that we cover up this edge. Again, I'm just using water first. I'm going all the way up here. I took my paint, more of the light color and less of the dark color. I'm just going to fill this layer of water with my paint. I also just clean my brush with a paper towel and once I fill the paint on the upper layer, I'm just going to tilt the paper a little bit and move it around so that the color, naturally just flows on the paper. The more we force watercolors to go a particular way, the more difficult it gets. It's best to just let the watercolors do what they want. I'm just filling a little bit of more color, dabbing it here just to give it a little depth. Now I'm just wiping it with a paper towel to get rid of any fine lines here. Again, I'm putting myself on mute for 15 seconds. I'll dry this layer, or in fact while this layer is drying, I'll take you through the trees, the different techniques we use for the trees. So this work we're also going to do 2 more times, and then we'll get to the final part of the painting. So for the trees, take any color that you like. You can also do this with greens, you know. I've been stuck on this indigo color for the longest time. I'm not able to get over it. But yeah, even the greens, like you can use a sap green or an olive green. Really looks good. So here I'll just show you how I draw my trees. What I do is I just draw one straight, not straight, like one line just to guide me through the branches, and I start with the upper part. Just draw small branches. I never hold my brush like this. I'm usually using this stippling technique where I'm using the brush like this with the pointed side out. I leave some space in between few branches. If the paint gets collected in one place, I just drag it down. Just go along the line. And keep widening the area of the branch as you go down. This is one way. Another way could be just with the tip of your brush, you create the branches. It'll create like a very pointy look. You have to get a little, like, not use the uppermost tip of the pen when you go down, or sorry, not the pen, paintbrush, when you go down. This. I'll show you one or two more ways. I think this paint is almost dried. Now I'll have to use a little bit of dryer. So I'm going to put myself on mute for 10 seconds. I'll come back. And we're ready for the third layer. I am afraid that this layer, it got very even. There should have been a little bit more white here, but that's all right. I think we can work with it. Let's see how it goes. First, let's make a layer this side. Or, you know what I'm going to try and do? I'm going to paint another layer here. A little darker. So I just put on a little bit of water on the second layer again, and I'm just putting more color on top, and I'm going to let it flow down. Like this. This time I put in a little less water. Because I want this layer to be a little lighter than the top. So this technique is also called lifting the color. Just rolling my brush on the layer to lift off any excess color that I don't need. And here, so yeah, this is looking better. I'm again going to blow dry this. So this is ready. Let's go with the third layer. Third layer is just going to be like a half mountain till here. Again, third layer, we're going to put in a little bit more indigo and less of the turquoise, or more Prussian and less of the cobalt. I'm trying to hide these hard lines here, not going exactly the same way that we have this side. Just create little bit of pointy tips of the mountains. This is the kind of flow that I wanted for the other layers, but it's fine. Nagendra, I am using these two watercolors, the tube ones. You can buy any. I'm using Winsor Newton Cotman turquoise and Van Gogh indigo. I'm just looking at your comments, guys. Thanks, Tulika. You guys can keep putting your questions in. Whenever I look in the phone, I will keep answering. So again, we are waiting for this layer to dry. Just pull it a little bit further here. And let's see if we can paint one or two more types of trees here. So this is the simplest technique that you can use for creating a landscape like this. Just a sec. Okay, so I'm going to try and paint another tree here. See if you can follow along. The final techniques I think I'll show you in the final stages of the painting that we're creating, because I think the time will run out. We have an hour for this. So as I told you, I usually do hold the brush like this and use a stippling technique to create the branches of the trees. Mostly they all look the same. Every time you create something new, you have to change your paints or your brushes in order to change the look of what you're creating. Okay, now I think it's time for us to dry this layer, final layer. Yeah, no, it's not dried yet. I'm going to dry this layer. So one tip, I usually let the paint dry on its own. Unless I'm in a hurry, because today I want to complete this painting in front of you, that's why I'm using the hair dryer. But mostly I feel it kind of disrupts the flow of the watercolor if you use the blow dryer to dry the layers. I don't prefer to use it, but sometimes if you're out of time, you can. Now let's paint this final layer of the mountain, then we'll start painting the trees. For the final layer, we'll use the darkest color that we have. I'm going to hide this hard line here, so I'm just taking some water and painting the shape of the final layer of the mountain. I'm taking my darkest color. I am using indigo. If you're using a Prussian blue, you can use a Prussian blue. Just going to fill it. Just pushing the color in the direction of where I've painted the mountain with the water. I'm going to put some more color because it's going to flow down. Little bit water, more of water, less of paint, just putting here. I want to show. Now what I'm going to do is, in order to even it out, I'm just going to take a little bit of water on my brush and I'm going to just roll the brush right here like this. And I want this layer to be very dark, so I'm putting in some more color. I also want some tips depicting some trees right here, so I'm just pulling the paint up a little. So please note that I have just used one brush till now. One brush, two paints and a sheet of paper, that's it. You don't need a lot to create something nice. Sometimes I just sit with these three things and just keep drawing trees and trees and trees, and I keep noticing how different brushes make the painting look different. Yeah, so I think this is the final layer. I'm going to scan through the questions. If you have any, you guys can put in your questions if you have any. I'm just going through the comments right now. Hi Payal, I'm using these two colors, Vincent Newton Cotman turquoise and Van Gogh indigo, but alternates to these could be any brand, cobalt blue or Prussian blue, they're similar. They look similar, so you can use those colors too. Or you could do this with any two set of colors. You could use a green, a sap green, or an olive green. And yeah, in fact, I will try making the same thing in green also once I'm done with this live. Any other questions? Hi Sana, yeah, I think this will be posted by MENORAH Stationery on their page. This live session will be posted. Payal, the paper I recommend is 100% cotton watercolor paper. You know, if you're going to do a lot of layers, 100% cotton paper always makes sure that the paper is still wet while you're painting the layers, and it retains the water for a longer time, and also the colors look more brighter on a 100% cotton watercolor paper. So I always, this is the paper that I've been using for the last 2 years, and I haven't changed it, and this I highly recommend. 25% cotton also is good if you're a beginner, that's fine. Actually, you should keep using different types of paper in order. But sometimes it happens is what happens is that the style of your painting, some paper will suit your style of painting, and some other paper will suit my style of painting. For this kind of style, this paper is the best. But of course, I've also tried a lot of different brands and a lot of different types of paper. But yeah, I'm stuck to this. Mm. I'm just looking if the layer is dried up. I'll use a blow dryer one more time, guys. I'm putting you guys on mute. Putting myself on mute. And I'm back. Now let's paint the trees. For this, I'm going to sit down, so I'm not looking at the comments, because I really want to enjoy this. So for the trees, you should note that you should never paint your trees in one straight line unless the composition demands it. Mostly you should have trees of varied heights. If you're painting the trees a little closer, you should definitely have the trees in different heights. It makes it look like more real. So now I'm going to hide this white layer. I'm going to use just my indigo color. I'll look at your questions once we are done with this. Yeah, I took a little bit more color and less water, so it resulted in this blob of paint, but that's all right. We can just, spread this across the whole tree. Just changing the height of the trees as I paint along. Add one more tree here. Putting a little bit more water because I want this layer to be wet till I finish painting my trees here. Just even it out in between. I'm going to paint a small one here. And some little bushes right here to give it a look of a small valley. Maybe this is the viewing point for the entire valley. And we are done with this. I'll see if you guys have more questions. Yeah, so this is done. I'm just going to use my very small detailer brush to paint the birds. Never use black in your painting, guys. It really, takes away a lot. Even if you have to use a little darker color, you can mix a little bit of black with the base color that you're using. That's always helpful. So I'm not going to paint my birds with a black color. I'm using a mixed color here. I'm going to draw them all in different sizes, so it gives a look of, you know, what's being far and close. Yeah, that's it. I think we are done. This is our final painting. I like how it turned out. Could have been a little better over here, but yeah, no watercolor painting can be the same. Now, if you have, thank you, Samaya. If you have any other questions, happy to answer. Any other questions, guys? This live session will be ending. We almost painted for an hour. The brand of watercolors that I am using is this Winsor Newton Cotman and Van Gogh. These are the two colors I'm using. And the Winsor Newton one is turquoise color, and Van Gogh one is indigo. Any other questions? You're welcome. Okay, guys, I'm going to end this live now. Thanks. Okay, there's another question. How to draw light shaded trees in the back and darker in the front? You use you can do two things for that. One is use a lighter shade for the back ones and more water with that, and use a darker color for the front ones. Or you can also do wet on wet for the back trees and dry on wet for the uh, front trees. Sorry, wet on the back trees and the using just wet on dry for the front trees. Just keep trying different techniques. Okay, guys, I'm going to close this live now. It was nice painting with you all. Bye.